First performance, he got the job done. Not the finest match, but sometimes that's what you need to get going.
Well, you know, the wonderful thing about being on site here in Sydney and having a chance to connect with the players and their coaches and teams is you find out information that is really important that you might not know if you're sitting in a booth somewhere across the world. And what we found out, we were wondering why Casper Ruud kept playing with his strings yesterday and sending rackets back to the stringers and changing more frequently than usual, is that he doesn't have his normal strings here with him.
We'll talk about that as this one progresses. So Ruud serving for Norway. Okay, do tell.
Yeah, so Mark Petchy and I were just having a chat with Casper and Christian Ruud a couple hours ago, and I asked him, you know, what was going on with the strings yesterday? You were changing at odd times. And he says, well, you know, I get my strings sent in advance to the tournaments where I'm playing, and they sent the wrong string. So it's a thinner string, so the ball explodes off of it, and it also breaks quicker. That would freak out most players.
Oh, absolutely, it would. So it's in essence, it was a great mental performance for him to keep in there, because he actually broke strings during the match, which you don't normally see, and really did have a few issues with finding the court a couple of times off the most solid shot in his repertoire, the forehand.
Yeah, so he ended up having to string it tighter to get more control, because the thinner string was giving him a little more power than he was accustomed to. And I asked him, are there any other players here at the United Cup, male or female, that play with the strings? He plays with one type of string. They're all from Yonex, but one style string in the mains, and then in the crosses is another. So what he uses, the yellow string in his racket, that's common. A lot of players play with that one, but he's got a blue string in there, and that one no one else really plays with here. So he's stuck. But by Melbourne, there will be a new shipment that will arrive, and he'll be back to normal.
I would hope in another 24 hours it could be here.
Would have thought.
Yeah, well, creatures of habit to tennis players. You change any piece of their equipment and they'll know in a heartbeat between whether it be the weight, the balance, the string, the tension can be off by half a kilo or half a pound, and players will know. So a comfortable opening hold of serve for Casper Ruud, Team Norway, with a 1-love lead as players change ends. Mark Petchy's found his way to courtside. Good evening to you, Mark.
Evening, Tom.
I'm sure you're looking forward to this one. I always like to get the conditions report. I mean, I know you've just sat down, but what it's like inside a Ken Rosal Arena down there.
Yeah, I'm just getting myself around Masu and Mahu, who I think I just called him on the programme, Hubie's new coach. So just recovering from that little faux pas. Perfect night. Couldn't be better. Absolutely ideal. Not much humidity in the air at all. The ball's going to skip through the court, which both players will enjoy, particularly Hubie on the flat hit. But even for Casper, he's going to get a little bit more acceleration off this court surface. And given the length of the match that Casper played, I think he's going to be absolutely thrilled with how the conditions are.
Petch, before you sat down, I was relaying the information to Todd Woodbridge and our audience about the string situation for Casper, and that he's playing with a different setup than he usually will, and the one that he will play with by the time he gets to Melbourne, just because he got the wrong shipment here. So we've already relayed that info out there. It's fascinating, though.
Yeah, given how much players are creatures of habit, it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, Casper having to change rackets to make sure that it doesn't break mid-rally for him.
Good start for Hurkacz as he gets his season underway. And I think just one more thought on Casper, kind of a getaway on that, is he is in the 1% of players who would not lose their mud on the court about that in real time. He kept it so together. Something that he had nothing to do with effectively. Could have such a big impact. And here's talk about a shot with impact. This serve is massive.
Yeah, so many free points per match per year. There's another one. So a love game for Hubie. And we're at 1-1. I once had a situation on tour. I was playing a smaller challenger tournament and I was using a demo type of frame. I had 2 of them. I was traveling with my older racket as well. I had half a dozen of those. But I had played for 3 weeks with 2 rackets, so in and out of the stringing the whole time. So I'd made a final of a challenger, put them into the stringer, and I turned up for the final in the morning. My rackets had been stolen.
Oh boy.
And I had to go back to the old frame, and you know me well. Somehow I kept it all together.
I'm shorting that.
You know that had a good ending, Jim, didn't you? Otherwise, he wouldn't have brought it up.
I would not have brought it up.
He wouldn't have brought it up.
No.
You just knew where it was going.
Yeah.
It was painful to listen to.
Mount Woodbridge erupted a few times, I'm sure, at some point, though.
Tentative on that first volley. So the first test of the evening goes, or comes up for Casper Ruud here.
A good test of the meniscus for Hubert Hurkacz too, which he tore at Wimbledon last year in a diving shot against Hubert Hurkacz in the second round. Caused him to miss the Olympics and really kind of limp through the rest of the season. Open stance slide on that last point. Give you some confidence.
Excellent second serve. In Casper's previous match, we talked quite a lot about his returning, and we'll do that in a little while. What about the return of serve of Hurkacz? What should we expect from him?
He's got plenty of width, doesn't he? A lot of wingspan, so it's difficult to get the ball by him. But I remember last year in Perth, when Team Poland was starting their season, talking to his coach at the time, Craig Boyton, that their focus was to try and bring his return game up. Because he holds at a very elite level, number 6 on tour last year at holding serve. But breaking, he's pretty far down the ladder. And I don't think that's a byproduct of his return to serve. I think it's more about lack of aggression after the return.
Well, he stabs at that return. It comes back floating with no pace, and Ruud unable to generate his own, smothers the ball, and here is the first break point of the evening.
He's got an interesting little return kind of quirk. When you watch Hubie, he kind of drops the racket down. You watch where he sort of stands to return, and then he'll kind of like pop the racket down a little bit. So obviously, as the ball comes through, he's actually got to pick it up again to get it behind the ball to kind of strike it. I always just kind of wonder whether if he just held his hands a little bit higher consistently, whether he would be on the ball a little bit quicker than he is. Not much, but it's just enough, and it's particularly on the backhand side. I feel he has to kind of take both arms up, and he's just you know, this game's of fractions of seconds. If you can make it easy for yourself, why not?
Survives the break point. Casper Ruud in Norway. It is on serve, 2-1.
Team Norway leads 2-1.
Well, it has been a magnificent day weather-wise in Sydney. Very pleasant all round. And when you look at Sydney, it is famous for that harbour bridge, the coat hanger, as it's called. Just on 11 million people visit Sydney a year. The Sydney Opera House, the harbour bridge, and the foreshore, all leading into that famous Bondi Beach. Good time of year, summer in Australia. And Iga Świątek, she's done her work. What did you call it a little earlier? The bagel and breadstick shop has opened for the year?
Yeah, the bakery. That's that. I didn't come up with that. Some journalists came up with that. But Iga's Bakery open for business.
So Iga taking a few notes about what she did today, and it was an impressive start for her season. Just on an hour to dispatch on her Norwegian opponent. Ken Rosewell Arena, you can see the covered roof. Approximately 10,000 seats for spectators, and a very good crowd in tonight for the clash of Group B between Norway and Poland.
Jim, Todd, is Hubie using a new racket?
He's certainly got no stencil on it, has he?
You're closer to us, Petch. You tell me.
I was wondering if you guys can see down into the Polish team end and see a thermo bag in there, because obviously he used to be using the Yonex V Core. He used to be a head prestige guy, and I mean, I'm looking at that head shape. That doesn't look like a Yonex to me.
I agree with that. Looks more like an oval shape.
Is that a Wilson?
It's a Wilson, yeah. It's a Wilson. We've just got a little close-up there from our cameraman. They're going to try and find another angle if we can, but that was a Wilson. It's a good pick-up. Looked like a type of Wilson blade, that would be. So that's a more of a control frame.
Quite a big change. I mean, obviously from the Prestige, which is a very precise racket, to the Yonex, which is uber lively. So that Wilson, as you say, Todd, is a little bit more of a control. We'll have to try and count the string pattern as well. There's the V Core. He plays with incredibly heavy racket as well, swing weight.
Well, he's also changed clothing from Yonex, so he's gone away from Yonex. He has Adidas on now, so a lot of different things happening for him, but the clothes don't matter nearly as much as the shoes do matter, but the racket that's a big change.
His racket was 360 grams and swing weight at 370, which is right at the high end for an ATP Tour player.
No logo on that racket, so it doesn't appear that he's signed a contract with Wilson, but he must like it. It's going to be fascinating to see as the year develops. We'll just compare the speeds and spins and see what's changed for him with that new stick change.
Almost got it back. Crowd loving it.
2 against 1.
Great technique on the volley. You can see it got through the court nicely. Goes for the slam dunk. Doesn't quite capture it. And Casper was on his way out of the stadium in an attempt to get it back. It brings up an interesting question because you're a keen golfer like myself. Golf have been looking at their stats for drivers and irons and carry and spins and heights and trajectories for many years. And in more recent times, we've now collecting the data of what forehands and backhands can do, but we haven't really gone into depth of a player looking at that for a racket change that I'm aware of yet.
Well, I think a lot of players do actually do that.
Are they doing?
Didn't Andy Murray do quite a bit of testing like that at the National Tennis Center, Petch, when he was trying to change rackets and compare what was happening?
Yep, he did. He got Hawkeye. We've got a Hawkeye court at the National Tennis Center, and he was on the Hawkeye court measuring service speeds and all of those things. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's available at many academies around the world as well these days. If you're interested in it, which you should be as a player if you're changing equipment, you want to know what type of different response the racket's giving you. And to be fair, some of this can also just be straight commercial too, right? If Yonex decides they don't want to pay him what he thinks he's worth, he might take a better deal from Adidas and then start looking for another racket.
Well, this match is warming up quite nicely. Both players constructing points well. Once they get that initial ball where they can start dictating the rally. That forehand down the line was something that we were asking for a little from Casper Ruud in his opening match. So a shot that he'll use more if he's feeling confident. If he's not, he'll tend to go with safety and percentages and take that cross court more often than not. Check out how you've been doing your off-court training. Rallies like that being pushed heavily from side to side. 18-shot rally.
Did you get your bench presses in this morning, Todd? You're telling us you were working on your chest the other day.
Did a couple of push-ups in the room.
Let first service.
And an ace for Casper Ruud to clean up his service game. And we remain on serve in the opening set, 3-2, Team Norway.
Already sending one of Casper's rackets back to the stringer just now. For the first of many trips you would expect.
Must be difficult in a sense to find the right string product for you because there's so many more options on the market. Back in the early days of us coming on tour, you had couple of different gut brands, and that was it. And really there was one that stood out, that was called VS, and then Big Banger came along as a synthetic string, and that was really the only one on the market for a fair while. Now every company makes their own. It's another beautiful evening in Sydney, Ken Rosewell Arena. And a good crowd, as well as the sun starts to set on the penultimate day of 2024. And it's been a very good start to this match too. Casper Ruud coming out a lot sharper than he did in his opening match. And I guess you know you have to against a player like Hurkacz. You can't be slow out of the blocks, get down a break, because that's it. It's out of the way too quickly. Well, not a great mess, but I think this one actually just clips the tape on its way over. Get a good look at it here. Yep, it does, and that's enough to put Hubie off. Catches it on his frame. He's interesting, Hubie. He said, because if he wasn't a tennis player, he said he would have pursued race car driving, basketball, or business. So he's kind of, with his height, you would have thought potentially basketball was more the go.
I'm not sure he could squeeze into the cockpits, to be honest. There's
a great Australian movie, and the line that comes out of that all the time, tell him he's dreaming if he was going to be a car racer, given the size of him.
He does have a relationship with the McLaren group, and is often seen driving around at one. They let him use one at tournaments like in Indian Wells, so he squeezes in there. Ruud not able to squeeze that drop shot into the court. So it's another comfortable hold for Hurkacz.
McLaren, of course, winners of the F1 Constructors titles this year. I know that Andrea Stella, the team principal, is a big tennis fan and enjoys playing himself. Nice crossover for us, because we've always been seemingly chasing F1 through Drive to Survive and Breakpoint and the documentaries. Jim, that reminded me of your forehand.
I had a fair bit of oomph behind it, didn't it? Thank you for the compliment, Petch.
Well deserved. Guys, if you were to help Hurkacz on his returns, what would you want to see? Would you want to see him just try and have one great returning game where it all comes together, or would you try and build in some more consistency?
Consistency. You?
Yeah, I'd love to see him just hit every single first serve return through the middle of the court. He's such a flat hitter of the ball. I'd want to go over the low part of the net, not give up any of the geometry of the court for angles for their +1. and see. He's a great athlete. Stay in the point.
That's a clean hit, that one. Lovely short backswing, leans in and uses the pace to redirect up the line. But as you're alluding to, Petch, that one hit hard through the centre. You're going to get a good strike on the return ball if it comes back at you. You can get it deep through the centre.
I just feel like you want to build pressure on the return games, not just give them away. Yeah, that's an awesome return, but it's probably not a shot that he can repeat 4 times in a game often enough.
But there's a point in case right there for you. I agree with both of you going through the middle. What I would like to see him do is use the forehand more once the rally starts, because that's where he can be aggressive. And if you're the server, you really feel that pressure if the guy's going to start coming at you with that type of shot. Often he uses too many rally balls and keeps it just going. Can't do anything about that. Another race to seal yet another hold of serve for Casper Ruud. 4-3, opening set.
Team Norway leads 4 games to 3.
Cup evening edition from Sydney. Obviously we're playing simultaneously with Perth. 3 groups in Sydney, 3 groups in Perth. The winner of each group make the quarterfinals, and then the 2 best ratios of all of the teams will fill it in the last 2 to make the quarterfinals. So, new balls here for Hubert Hurkacz, serving 3-4.
So there's a lot of new things happening seemingly in Hubert Hurkacz's world, with the change of shoe and clothes, a change of racket, change of coaching staff after 5 successful years with Craig Boyton. He's got Nicholas Massou as his full-time coach, Lendl as a consultant. That's a lot of turnover, and it's going to be interesting to see what changes come from that. He's a pretty mild-mannered guy. Massou is a hype machine. He is energetic. Craig Boyton, far more mild-mannered. This guy, at least when he was with Dominic Thiem and their successful time together, he was a cheerleader in chief, as well as obviously a great technician and tactician for Domi, but he was also providing energy for his player. We'll see if he tones that down to match Hubert's temperament.
Again, Team Poland.
Well, that was pretty, Petch.
4 games.
Yeah, that was a little special.
Let's go, come on.
big wingspan, obviously. Casper does a great job there. He knew exactly what he was doing, Hurkacz. He's got some trick shots up his sleeve. This is a very neat one. Going back to that point you're making, Jim, I thought Craig was unbelievable with Hubie as well, not just on the normal coaching, but he would just run with the fluctuations in a match that Hurkacz had. I mean, 2023, over half of Hubie's matches went to a third set. I mean, they weren't easy watching and they weren't easy to sit as a coach and just keep that kind of calmness that he was going to get through it, because they were tumultuous. So that's going to be something that's going to be very interesting to see, the dynamic, as you say, between Nicholas, a very different character.
Pretty obvious to see that Casper really trying to spread the court quickly against Hubie to get him on the run, get him into those corners. He's got good reach, but the movement, an issue. Moves well for his size, I think would be fair to say, wouldn't it?
Oh, very much so.
Doesn't get a ball back into play, bar one, and so a love hold for Casper Ruud. He keeps the pressure on. It will be serving to stay in the set when we return. Team Norway 5-4. On the day off, players have been pottering around, seeing all the sights and sound. They won't have seen this, though. This is ID Sydney. It began back in 2009, a 3-week festival of lights across the Sydney Harbour and the surrounding areas. More than 2 million people attend Vivid every year, and it's from 24th of May to the 15th of June. So Hubert Hurkacz about to come on out and serve to stay in this set. There's only been one break point. That was on Ruud's serve back in the third game. He survived that, but otherwise server has dominated this opening set. So 4-5. Putting his own pressure on himself, loose with the drive volley.
He's such a good server. He can get down in the count and get himself out of trouble pretty comfortably. Just misses the mark. Good look for Casper Ruud at that pass. A little safe on that approach shot. Short in the court. Not much weight behind it either. Got away with it.
30-15.
That's the sort of point I'd love to see him play more on his return games, because that just builds pressure. You sometimes don't have to overplay, but that coming forward to say, okay, can you come up with passes when the scoreline starts to get a little tighter towards the end of a set? Time for Hubie.
Hurkacz is the unofficial king of the tweeners in men's tennis, and he's not going to lose a point when Casper hits a tweener, is he? No, sir. Great run onto the ball from the Norwegian, but this dunk just a little bit out of reach. One of the features in COVID times, Hurkacz was marooned in Florida, and there were some exhibitions set up as we watched these guys do their work on private courts. And Hurkacz participated in quite a few of them, and he showcased all of his hot shot talents, and he has some of the most amazing skill.
Game, team bottom.
Who else is amazing?
5 against all.
There's a flamingo in Team Poland's team zone. What's that all about, Petch?
That was the flamingo that went down to the title pool, wasn't it? I guess it's become the lucky mascot.
It was, yeah. That was on page 3 of the Sydney paper today with Igor Swiatek latching onto it in the water.
Page 3 has changed over the years.
Different. I can't say it.
Quite the British tabloids here in Australia. Everything in Ruud's game tonight a lot sharper.
It's amazing how different the conditions make things. As Jim knows in singles, you know in doubles, Todd, how difficult it is to win a major over 2 weeks with the different sort of humidity and wind and temperatures. I mean, ball, because I sat here for that match with Ruud, he's just fizzing off the court tonight for Casper. Not only have you got to get past 7 different styles of player to win a major, you've also got to deal with that on top of everything.
So another love game for Casper Ruud, and it is 6-5. It looks like we're heading to a tiebreak in this opening set.
Team Norway. Team Norway leads 6 games to 5.
First time Nicholas Massou up and giving some instruction to Hubert Hurkacz, team captain. Tim there in the red tracksuit pants. That's the uniqueness of this cup as well. You can have a captain who can give all the information, but a player's regular coach can sit in there as well, and it's a complete team unit. You can draw upon every bit of resource possible to find a way to get through. All the technology sitting down there in tablets for them to get real-time stats from the match. So Hurkacz, Team Poland, 5-6.
Just the 6th point he's lost against his serve, Hurkacz. He's been holding comfortably, but down love 15 for the 2nd consecutive service game. Ruud applying some pressure here at the tail end of the opening set and going really deep for this first return. Hurkacz a little twitchy on that forehand. That's the shot that can go awry in pressure moments. We've seen it here in this tournament, in fact. But his serve can get him out of the jam. We'll keep saying it because it's true. Let's see if he can lean into it here.
Great anticipation on the return from Casper Ruud. He was out looking for that forehand early and throws a heavy topspin return straight down at the feet. Made it difficult. Gets the pass and now has 3 set points.
And Ruud's the deep return position working beautifully for him in this game. And oddly, when the ball toss went up there, he rushed forward back to his normal up-close return position. He's standing in close here. I disagree with this. I think he should be back. Give himself a little more space and time. Doesn't matter now. Second serve, he'll have time.
For Casper Ruud, sharp as attack tonight, and he takes the opening set in 42 minutes. 7 games to 5.
7 games to 5.
You know what? I mean, that looked easy, but I can't express how many people have trouble with a high forehand volley when it's in between a normal volley and a smash right there. And you see the issue right there? See where his racket was? It was up high. You have to come through it like a drive volley in that position. And he came with a flapping swing, pays the price, pulling it down into the net.
Yeah, a little too much wrist involvement, a little more body work, a little more leg movement probably would have helped him, right?
As soon as you get the racket head pointing to the sky, you're in trouble. You have to have it pointing out to your right if you're a right-hander, or if left-hander out towards the left.
14 left.
And that will really dent your confidence, missing one like that.
striking from Hurkacz and amazing defense as well from Ruud.
That breaks a 12-point run of points and serve for Ruud.
Yeah, after saving that break point at 1-all in the opening set, he's been on quite a run with his serve as Casper Ruud. Predictor shifting in his favor, expected after that opening set goes in his pocket.
Casper Ruud.
So Hubert Hurkacz was holding easily in the opening set as well. The first 5 service games he played, he only lost 5 points in total. In the 6th one, he lost 4 points to lose the set. And those lines, that little yellow flick and the back of the court, the 2 yellows and the 1 red, those all took place in the last game. That was a good change. Tactics matter. Standing back gave Ruud a chance to get into more rallies, and that led to him winning the opening set. All those ones up front, that's kind of been his stock position in general against first serves. As we see Iga coming back down with a little smoothie with her new coach Wim Fissette. But for Casper Ruud, that flexibility of his return position is the reason he's leading this match. You just want to make returns, and you want to get back to even in the rally if you can, and that's difficult against Hurkacz's awesome first serve delivery. That's another front-facing tweener. We've seen a bunch of them already, Patch, in this tournament.
Yeah, is it going to be the new shot of 2025? I don't know. It's incredible how many times we've seen it already this week. That's got to be a 4th or 5th.
Yeah, something like that.
Good example there, Jim, of what you were talking about the other day about Casper's backhand, how early he takes it compared to some of the other double-handers who can then flick that ball kind of from the side of them across. He just doesn't really have that short angle cross on the pass. There's that in his locker there.
He doesn't use it all that often, though, Pitch.
Yeah, I just feel like he doesn't feel like he needs to necessarily use it that often, because he builds the point cross court and then finally gets his forehand into play against the majority of players. But maybe, as you say, Todd, a little higher frequency in even matches like this, he can feel more comfortable when he's taking on the likes of Yannick and Carlos and Novak.
Agree.
A new feature here at the United Cup. Never seen it before. Bucket boys. We've got ball kids. We've got bucket kids now transporting towels in a more sanitary fashion out to the players.
And team corner.
Catches the corner of both lines, that ace.
Why doesn't Hurkacz return from deeper, Jim?
Well, I think the easy answer would be that because he doesn't hit the ball particularly hard or with not a lot of spin, that maybe it's uncomfortable for him. But that doesn't explain why Daniil Medvedev is so good at it, right? Medvedev doesn't hit the ball particularly hard or with spin either, but he's a wizard at it. I think it's certainly worth exploring if that's what you're asking. When you break serve among the lowest in men's tennis, which is where he's been the last several years, how do you fix that? How do you make improvements? And he has size to cover the width of the court from deeper, right?
Absolutely, and if you're going to go deeper, obviously more often than not the ball's going to slide towards you, even if you serve it down the tee. He can shift a little bit right. He got caught there napping, so then he had to chase quite hard to his right. He should just like go deeper, go more right on that due side, and basically hit a ground stroke. I don't understand why he stands up on the first serve return all the time, because he's not really gaining anything, because by the time he's hit it, he's still having to back up.
Different player than what he was 2 days ago. Casper, it's amazing what a win can do in match conditions. It's been a long year. It was yesterday. I'll be fresher. I'll be fresher in a day. Don't worry.
We know what you've reached. Won't have to say it in Australia. Casper thought about hitting another front-facing tweener there when the ball clipped the tape and changed direction. And he got his legs out of the way and was able to hit a standard forehand, but the creativity is certainly there tonight. Success rate high, too, for Ruud.
Pushing it hard across the baseline and draws another error in a love game. Team Norway is set for 2-1.
Against 1.
When you were chatting to Team Ruud, did you ask at all, like he looked a little fatigued towards the end of the first match? Was there any of that involved, or was just the conditions? And
No, we chatted about that as well. He's super open and friendly, as you would expect, and he said, you know, the humidity really got him. And also, first competitive match, he's been playing exhibition matches en route to this recently, but the first competitive match is just different, and he was feeling the extra adrenaline and the tension from that.
Sure, and acclimatization makes a big difference, doesn't it? Those extra days and experiencing it. What I like about the way Nicolas Massou does with his coaching is he gives a lot of information, but he gives it succinctly, and then he sits away, and then it's not ongoing. You get the delivery, and then you've got to do something with it.
Time.
It's going to be fun to see how this new partnership works out and what changes might come from it. Hurkacz has been a consistent top 10 player for some time now. Has fallen out of the top 10 due to the knee tear, a meniscal tear he suffered at Wimbledon last year. His ranking dropped down to 16 in the world, but if he's healthy for a full season, he'll be single digits, you would think. Let's see in this game what return posture that Casper Ruud assumes. When he stood back, the game that he broke at the end of the set, he wasn't blocking returns. He was actually swinging at first serve returns. Normally, he's just slicing them. Second serve returns, he'll have a little more time to go after. On that one, had to slice that as well on the second serve, but on the first serve, 2/3 of the time or so, he's slicing those returns. As you can see on that bottom right, Casper Ruud. And on the backhand side, he's coming over. That 37% is probably almost all on backhand returns, Todd. Slices almost every first serve return when he's standing in close on the forehand.
Well, makes that pass look easy, but it wasn't. He gets out on that outside leg and then has wonderful control with the left hand to get the racket head around the ball. Take a look at this. Such strength in the movement. So Hurkacz in big trouble again. Love 40. There's a break.
Team Norway.
A break to love as well.
Balls, please.
Okay, pitch. Where to from here for Poland?
Team Norway leads 3-1.
Well, I would ban Hubie from going down the line. Number one for the time being, because he's not feeling the ball particularly well, and he does love to go, particularly with his backhand, strangely down the line very quickly, which obviously opens him up for Casper's forehand cross court. And to be honest, if I was in Masu's shoes for the next couple of months, I would ban that shot, because watching him against the great players, he puts himself at a deficit. When he's red hot and he's redlining it, it's great, but it's just high risk tennis. I think he's got to figure out a way to stay in the rallies for a little bit longer. So that he can be out on court long enough to see whether there'll be any sort of dip in the performance here from Casper, because we're yet to hit the hour mark. It's the kind of return you feel as though if he was further back, he would make 30–40% more often.
Yep, agree. Ruud doing better when he makes first serves is really more of a reflection on the return, because he doesn't serve it as well. Well, he's having a good night serving tonight, and that +1 forehand is devastating. And it's getting late early for Hurkacz's singles chances, but of course mixed doubles would certainly favor Team Poland.
Consolidates the break. comfortably again. And so, very quickly, it is a set and 4-1 to Team Poland. Well, this was a shot that I must admit, I don't think I ever played once in my career, and it's become a stock in everybody's repertoire. We were never allowed to have a crack at a tweener like this. We were told run back, put up the biggest defensive lob you could see, but it's become fashionable, Jim.
First player I ever saw do it was Yannick Noah. He did it in the U.S. Open many, many years ago against a player named Aaron Krickstein. It wasn't a front-facing tweener like that one. And then Gabriela Sabatini, the Argentine superstar, well, she started to hit the Sabatini. And that's when it became a thing.
Around the grounds of Ken Rosal Arena, the big screen outside in the hospitality areas, and a big Polish contingent in to see their team. Iga Świątek did what they expected in the opening match. So uncomfortably, and took the opening point against Malin Helgo. It's the first meeting for them. And she'll be prepping, I think, for a mixed doubles to come. It has to be a quick turnaround if Hubert Hurkacz is going to win this match. There's been no signs of any let-off at all from Casper Ruud. He's been exceptional. So many of the matches here at the United Cup for 2025 have gone down to the wire with the mixed doubles earlier today. Great Britain defeated Argentina in a very, very tight mixed doubles. 2-1. We'll take Great Britain take on Australia in that group. It's still wide open.
Love 15.
He's looking like a man lacking some confidence and belief in his game just at this point of the season. First match up.
Well, it's not surprising, honestly, playing in real tour competition for the first time with a racket, as far as I know. We all think this is the first time he's done that, possibly. Maybe I didn't see his match in Paris-Bercy, the last match he played of the 2024 season, but that's a big change going away from a racket he's played with a long, long time, the Yonex stick to a Wilson. And then you've got to do it against someone who's in the form that Casper Ruud is. Tall ask.
Yeah, great. Many players that have been at the top level that change mid-career often find it hard to find the belief in a new frame. And you'll see them maybe stick with it for a year or two, and then all of a sudden the old one's back in the hand. There's been many a player that have done that. Which makes it even more extraordinary when you think about somebody like John Newcombe, who's celebrating 50 years since winning the Australian Open. He would have a different racket contract for a different country or continent, so he would play with an aluminium racket in the United States, then hop over from the States to Wimbledon and play with a Slazenger wooden racket. And seem to be able to do it.
I guess that's what talent can do for you. Luke is pretty awesome. And so was that volley from Hurkacz to hold serve. Maybe stay somewhat in touch here. And he needs to figure out a way to get more returns through the middle of the court and go to work and try and manufacture a break a serve. Hasn't had a break point in quite some time, since the third game of the match, in fact.
He's got whatever the string issue with, he's adjusted because he's hitting his mark perfectly. If he were to put a ball can or a mark or whatever, he'd be knocking the target over with ease tonight. I guess the question here, Petch, is does he start thinking about it? Everybody seems to do that, no matter how good they are, and this is that time where it might just come off his level.
Yeah, I'm not feeling that at the moment. I mean, it can obviously happen. A lot will depend on how many sort of solid returns that Hubie can make through the middle to a decent length and keep Casper's forehand quiet. But he's been playing pretty well against the game's best players in recent times, says Casper.
That was a good deep return position for that second serve, and a good angled forehand return that pulled Ruud off the court. And we've seen how comfortable Hurkacz is at the net, so that forced Ruud to go for broke on that pass, and there's some pressure now in this service game.
And I say that because he's gone 7-4 against top tenors this year, Casper. He started off his career with a little light on wins against the very best, and that's understandable for the majority of players. Just 4 wins out of his first 19 matches against top tenors, so he certainly stepped up in that department. He'll be outside the world's top 10, I know, at the moment, but certainly fully fit. You would expect him to be back in there soon.
Went back up to the baseline there, Todd, and just, boy, would have loved to have seen him give himself a little more time on that return like he did a couple points prior.
Well, when you talk about time, he's running out for Hubert Hurkacz. He's going to be serving to stay in the match when we come back. It is a set and 5-2 to Casper Ruud and Team Norway. We've seen Vivid and we've been to the zoo. And we spoke about this the other day, Jim, the old seaplane. You can catch these out of the Rose Bay area in Sydney. Take off and do some sightseeing around the wonderful coastline.
I was watching out of my hotel room earlier today, and there was one zipping through the bay and over the harbor bridge. Someone was enjoying that view. Pretty good view here over Kinrose Wall Arena as well.
Well, this has been quite a clinical performance by Casper Ruud here this evening. The match only an hour and 10 minutes old, and not much has gone wrong for Team Norway as their #1 tries to level this match against Team Poland.
Time.
So if Casper is able to get this done, it will come down to the mixed doubles.
Interesting to see as the year goes through, and I know Ivan is a consultant with Hubie, one of the things he did with Andy Murray when he came on his bag was he wanted Andy to play much more parallel in the middle of the court, front foot forward, particularly on the short balls, but more in the kind of centre. Hubie's a very open stance forehand player, waiting for the ball to come to him, which, as a tall player as well, also means at times you're letting the ball drop a little bit more, whereas if you stepped in, if he did step in with his left foot, he's going to have a little bit more opportunity to take the ball on the rise and take it earlier out in front. I'm going to see whether that is an adjustment that the team make.
In with a second serve ace. Czechia, the other team in Group B, who had a victory over Norway 2-1. And there's Jess Fox, triple gold Olympian for Australia. Carried the flag for Australia at the Paris Olympics, then went and competed the very next day after the opening ceremony and won gold in the kayak.
So yeah, she didn't mind getting wet.
No.
And that opening ceremony was a little moist.
Has missed it. Wonderful defense from Casper Ruud.
30-40.
Makes his opponent play one extra ball. And that one is wide, and so we're at match point. Great kicking second serve. Allows Hurkacz to hang in a little longer.
Advantage, Team Norway.
Doesn't have the patience off the ground tonight, Hurkacz. And so, a second opportunity for Ruud.
Another good kick serve from Hurkacz. This time, Casper Ruud chose to try and slice the backhand, and this was a good offensive approach from Hubie. This forehand was dangerous, though. It clipped the tape. It would have been tough to handle. But the net did the job for Hubie. Forehand's doing the job on him in this game, isn't it?
Team Norway.
Unforced errors, and comes match point number 3.
3 match points. It's a game point. He's pretty loose here. The arm's free. So he escapes, and he puts the pressure back on to Casper Ruud to see whether he can serve it out.
Team Norway leads 5 against Australia.
It'll get a little tougher after having 3 match points, no doubt about that.
He's been holding comfortably this set. He's only lost 5 points en route to this spot on his serve. Let's see if the tension gets in there, trying to close the door. Shakiest forehand he's probably hit all match.
Yep. He was down 15-30 in the previous game. Two unforced errors. What a let-off pitch.
Yeah, he caught it so late. I'm not sure whether he just didn't pick up the bounce. It did seem to have a little bit more spin on it from Casper, the backhand, but he ended up hitting it almost in on his right hip.
That unforced error count 23-8. Hurkacz, a lot of free points given away. Didn't have to be that good.
30-14.
He's tried to paint the line and missed it. So it is a break-back point for Hurkacz. Last time he had a break point was the 3rd game of the 1st set.
Casper's fiance, the lone supporter up in that section of Team Norway.
So breakpoint save, back to Juice.
Yeah, here comes match point. This time, his 4th match point will be the first one that he gets to serve for.
closes it
Very
with
much,
an
Jim
ace.
Noah.
Ruud, too good.
2 sets to love. 7-5, 6-3.
And that will please Casper Ruud, Team Norway, and all of his supporters. What a wonderful performance to level this tie. It's going to come down to the mixed doubles. Jess Fox, very appreciative of the quality that the top 10 have produced here today. And after one match under his belt, he certainly has found some form.
And that was impressive, no doubt about it.